So Bitcoin managed to push past multiple resistances and reach very high levels of around 7,500 US dollars today. Do you think it will manage to push past the next resistance of $8,000, or do you think it will go down again and maybe retouch the support of 6,000 US dollar? I'm Kieran from Crypto Bulls, and today I bring to you a market update and a few interesting facts. Let's get started. So all along the board we've got green, a little bit of a correction in the last hour. However, we've seen a lot of price increase. Bitcoin managed to reach a very high price point, around 7,500 US dollars today, and around 22.62% in the last 7 days, which is fantastic. I'm a big Bitcoin bull. However, I do prefer when the price increases is a lot slower, since very often when the price increases so fast, it's due to several things. One, it could be that the market is being manipulated, that shorts get liquidated, that's a short squeeze. I will explain what it is later. Or that investors want to sell at a much higher price point to have a short orders, and they push the market up. So there are many different factors that can lead to such a high increase in price. Now, another thing why I think it's a bit risky when the price rises so fast is that very often many retail investors, they hear about the massive profits that Bitcoin is bringing, and then they start coming in and pouring money into the market. Of course, it's great when investors pour money into the market, because everyone else that bought before, they're going to profit through that. However, it's still sad to see people getting burned, because they just come into the market with maybe not enough knowledge about the whole ecosystem and so on. So in my opinion, I prefer when the growth is steady and not explosive. As with steady growth, the retracements and the corrections are much subtler. So with Ethereum didn't follow too much. It's only had 15.84% in the last 7 days, and it had a bit of a run up, but not as strong as Bitcoin. And I believe at the moment the exchange rate between Ethereum and Bitcoin is at a very low level. So in my opinion, if you're thinking about getting in, you might consider some of the altcoins as a better buying opportunity than Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has a very strong dominance at the moment. So buying altcoins, you get a better exchange rate if you compare to Bitcoin. Now, in this market update, I will be looking at the different coins: BTC, Ethereum, XRP, EOS, and I'll be looking at them with a really awesome tool that I've been using quite a while, and it's Ichimoku Cloud. I made a video explaining how to use the cloud, but here's a screenshot with some terminology I might be using during the video, so you can either pause the video, take a screenshot, or I'll just use simple terminology to explain what I'm talking about. So, Bitcoin USD. We're on the daily, and you can see we've got the Ichimoku Cloud in front of us, and we've had a very, very rough year behind us. The one thing that's very noticeable is that we've had a TK cross. So if I make this a bit bigger, you might see it a bit better. So we're on the daily time frame, which I like to do at the beginning. I like to look at the daily time frame, a higher time frame, since that shows when I see some indicators or signals on a higher time frame, that has much more importance than when I see it in a lower time frame. So the blue line, as you can see here, this, I would just refer to this as the fast moving average, and the red line, I would call it the slow moving average. You can look at my beginner's guide to Ichimoku, where I explain all these different lines that you can see on the Ichimoku Cloud. They might look complicated, but in fact it's actually really easy. So as long as the charts are below the red cloud, you're in a bear trend, and as soon as it pops up over the cloud and the cloud becomes blue, then that is a signal that a bull trend is starting. Now, however, you have to always look at a higher time frame. So it's, yeah, we would probably have to see it also on the weekly, which we haven't seen until now. Now, we've got a TK cross, and a TK cross happens when the blue line crosses over the red line. And we've got the price closing above the cloud, which is a very good signal. And we've got the ETH twist, where the red line twists. And you've got Seku span A, which is when the cloud is bearish, is the lower line goes to the top, and the Seku span B goes to the bottom. So then you've got the Ichimoku twist, and the cloud becomes bullish. Now the question is it going to push much higher? So I mapped out the next resistance, and that would be around $8,100. So what I will be looking at is the next support line. So the support lines, you can use the faster moving average, the blue line, as the first support level, and see if it manages to bounce off of that. And the next line of resistance and support will be $5,700. So let's see what happens. We've got a bit of a bearish candle here. We have to see how it ends on the daily, and if this ends as a bullish candle, then there's a strong possibility that we're gonna see some reversal. In my opinion, we might have a bounce on the $6,000 range, but it's still too early to tell. We had an incredible price increase, so very often when the price increases that much, it drops considerably. So if we would look here, we would take the price from down here, $3,182, all the way up to $7,482, and very often after such a rise, the price drops around to the Fibonacci level of 60, which would be at around, I think $4,000, $5,000. We can actually check it here. We've got a tool. Let's do that instead of guessing. Guessing is not good, and we won't make any profits just by guessing. So you can use this tool. You can find it here, and it's called the Fibonacci tool, Fibonacci retracement tool, and you pull it from the lowest point to the highest point of an uptrend, and you click, and then you see you've got these numbers. So very often numbers represent a percentage, and very often the retracement will fall between the 0.5 and the 0.6. So you could already probably start putting your buy orders if you want to accumulate. You could already start buying at $5,400. However, be aware that it can also still dip back down below the cloud. However, at these price levels, we're still quite low. I don't recommend selling and trying to catch the bottom. It's more of an accumulation phase. Next up is Ethereum. Ethereum also has a very nice Ichimoku twist. It hasn't had such of a spike up as Bitcoin had. However, the twist is very good. It's positive. And what's nice is that it closed above the cloud, which is a very bullish signal. The next resistance would be around $230. That's a stronger one. And yeah, we also see here a bearish candle forming at the top, which after such a rise up is something that you have to expect. Now we want to see how it closes, and from there on we can anticipate maybe a little bit better what might happen. But I guess, in my opinion, that will probably be retesting the support levels of $170 and these fast and slow moving averages that I pointed out before. So the blue and red line. Let's make this a bit bigger and then you can see it. Yeah, the fast moving average is at around 176 US dollar, and the slower one is around 167 US dollar. Now, if Ethereum doesn't manage to bounce off of these, the first and the second support, then we'll probably be going back down, and the Ichimoku Cloud, the Sekuspan A, then also acts as a support. The first one will be then at $157, and should we break through the Ichimoku Cloud, then that wouldn't be very good. We might have, the whole thing might just be a fake out, but it's best to see what happens at these support levels, and then from there on we can base our trading decisions. However, as I mentioned before, in my opinion, this is just an accumulation phase. I'm not exiting the market. I'm just adding to my position and making sure that I've got an average price that is as low as possible. XRP has not been doing as much as many would have hoped. They've got a lot of good news with XRapid and other projects that's going on. However, they are still below the cloud. They didn't manage to break up. However, one thing that I must say is they've got a very strong support at the 29.30 cents level, and I hope that this support will hold even if Bitcoin tanks. In my opinion, XRP is one of the cryptocurrencies which correlates the least with Bitcoin. So hopefully if there's a correction that happens with Bitcoin, then XRP will manage to hold its ground and stay at the 30 cents level. So let's see. In my opinion, XRP is one of the top investment possibilities that you can have if you've got a cryptocurrency portfolio and want to diversify. XRP is one of the top. And one thing that is important to notice with XRP is that you should be accumulating when you're at a longer period of time at a support level, because the price growth is explosive when it happens, and it's very hard to catch as soon as the price moves to the top. So if you're accumulating around these levels, then you're safe. So instead of buying Bitcoin, maybe you might consider buying other altcoins like XRP. EOS. Now EOS on the weekly is doing pretty good. The next resistance is around $6.40. Let's drill down onto the daily and see if it managed to have a Ichimoku twist, and it did. The charts broke above, the candles broke above the cloud, which is a very good sign, and we've had a Ichimoku cross, a TK cross, which is also a very good signal. Now with all these, there's one important rule to know when trading with the Ichimoku cloud, is that you don't trade against trend. So as soon as the candles break above the cloud and you've got a bull trend, then you don't try and short the market. That's the philosophy behind the Ichimoku trend, is that it's trend following, that you just follow along with the trend. So here should be a position. This is the moment when you accumulate and add to your position, but don't try and short the market, otherwise you might get wrecked. So that's it for EOS. It's got a lot of good news, and we will have to see also here if it manages to hold above its position above the cloud and above the $4.80 level. If it doesn't manage to hold that, however, EOS is also one of the coins that correlates quite strongly with Bitcoin. So very often what happens when Bitcoin corrects itself, then it will also correct itself. So EOS would then also drop in price, and if it would drop in price, then it would probably go down below the cloud, and this would have just been a fake out. Next up on the list is a view from one of our traders. I like to look at different traders and what opinions they're sharing about the market. It's great to see different opinions and have an open-minded view. Sometimes these opinions contradict what I'm saying, sometimes they are in line with what I'm saying, but I think it's still always a very good thing to have is an open mind and see what possibilities and what scenarios are possible. And in my opinion, this is a very possible scenario, and that is that exchanges want to get rid of the shorts, and the price has been manipulated to a certain extent, which caused many traders to get liquidated. Now, a liquidation happens when an investor goes onto an exchange like BitMEX or Bitfinex, and he sells a certain amount of cryptocurrencies, but at a leverage. So it might be if if he sells, for example, $1,000 at a leverage of 50, he can sell $50,000 worth of cryptocurrency. However, when the price goes up in the other direction, so he wants the price to fall and the price goes up, then as soon as it reaches a certain price level, he will get liquidated because the first amount of money that he put on the exchange is not enough to cover the fees and leverage position. So the position gets liquidated, gets sold off, and when that happens to many traders, one after the other, then the price spikes up very fast, and that's what you call a short squeeze, because the spread in the market gets even higher as more orders get market bought. Right. And this trader Snookerer, his opinion is that this is a fake out, and that the exchange want to get rid of their short positions before the next drop. And a fake out or this type of market manipulation is something that happens very often now. To such an extent, I haven't seen it recently, but it does happen. Is that the bigger traders, whales, will use the will manipulate the market by pushing the price in one direction, even though the charts say it should go in another way, and they force traders to either change the position, like instead of selling, they buy, or they force also some traders to get liquidated. Now he believes that the trend is going to go down, and we would hit a new low of $1,991, which is a very pessimistic view of the crypto market future. However, as I said before, this is just his opinion. It's just important to have the different scenarios that you can look at. Now, another scenario which I think is much more realistic is from Taiwan Bear. And here we've also got the Fibonacci, which we talked about before. And the thing is, as soon as the Fibonacci retraces to a certain extent, then the statistical probability that it then corrects gets higher the more it increased in such a short amount of time. So here we're already at the 78.6%. So the probability that we will go back down to touch this blue moving average at $5,200 or even lower is very, very possible. And he says, so why am I taking the profits here? The reasons are simple. 78.6 retracement from the high on the 24th of July 2018 overlap with the 61.8% retracement from the high of 5th of May 2018. So he takes some profits here, and he shows some more price predictions. So in his opinion is that the price will not go much higher from here on, but it will drop down, and maybe we'll have to find a support somewhere. If it's going to be the $6,000 mark or lower, it's not certain. We'll have to just find out and see. ByteBan also likes to use the Ichimoku cloud. However, he's using the stock settings, so the 926, that's for the stock market, but both are valid, especially on the higher time frames. You can use both settings just to compare with each other, and you've got two different viewpoints. Now, with the stock settings, the candles and the price will move into the cloud. This is the bearish cloud, and he sees a bit of a dip coming up. We will see a new low. This would be like the retracement we talked about before, around the 5,000 US dollar mark, and from this point on we would push upwards for another short-term bull trend, as you might call it. So with the market cycles, very often they move in waves of 5, and this would looks like the beginning of a new wave. So here will be the first wave from $3,332 to $6,769. Actually it went much higher, went to 7,500 US dollars, and the wave correction would be around the 60% level to 5,000 US dollars, and then the third wave would come. Now, the important thing to know about the third waves with the Elliott waves is that the third wave is the most impulsive, so I'll be sure to start accumulating around this range, but that is only if you want to invest and so on. So that's definitely not financial advice. Just make sure that you either dollar cost average or don't just buy the top. That's definitely not the best approach. Now that's enough for the market update. I'll look a little bit at some interesting facts from Kevin Rook. So of course now we broke past the 6,000 US dollar mark. However, I think this comparison is still very interesting, and he compares the 2 times when Bitcoin hit 6,000 US dollars and what changed. So now that Bitcoin is back at 6,000 US dollars, what has changed? And he's got this graph here, this list. So on October 29, 2017, Bitcoin was also at 6,000 US dollars, and on May 8, 2019, Bitcoin hit 6,000 US dollars for the first time. So the payments are up 3.4%. The transaction volume in US dollars, it's down. It was higher in 2017. It was around 3.09 billion, and now it's 24% less, so 2.36 billion. Transactions fees are down 67%, which is very, very good. In 2017, though, were very high. The active addresses are down. That means more holders. Hash rates are up, which is also very good. Block size is up. Median transaction US dollar is down 35%, which means more investors are in the market with smaller amounts of Bitcoin, and they are sending these small amounts of Bitcoins. And transactions per block are up 20%, so more transactions are included in each block, and that's because the median transaction value is lower, which is very interesting. So all in all, very good numbers. And there's another interesting fact I want to show you, and that's about the exchanges. So Binance gets around 1,180,000 visits per day, so it's up 13% in April, and Coinbase gets 930,000 visits per day, so 27% up in April, and both sites hit a 7-month traffic high in April, which is fantastic, and that shows that the interest in cryptocurrency is coming back. Now, if that's just to do with the rising prices, we're not sure. Probably it has to do with the rising prices. Anyway, it's still fantastic that we've got so many people interested in cryptocurrency and going to these exchanges, and I just can see these numbers going up more and more. Now, another coin I just wanted to mention, and that's the Binance coin. I just see it as a very good investment. Just me personally, that's just my personal opinion, and that's because I don't see the exchanges going anywhere, unless they get hacked. Of course, that wouldn't be a good thing, but I see that there's going to be more and more people registering to Binance and Coinbase and so on, and the longer that and the higher the cryptocurrency goes, the more visitors it will attract, new people entering into cryptocurrency. So I see the value of BNB just going up, since when you buy BNB you get a reduction in the fee when you're trading. Now, talking about adoption, blockchain's adoption challenge is a human problem, not a technical. And I think this is a very interesting article, since very often people talk about the technological problems that Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies is facing. However, it is mainly a human problem, since blockchain projects need to be adopted, people need to accept it. And as technology infiltrates our lives, a fundamental conflict is emerging in society, one brought on by two intertwined forces. First, our existence is framed by a never-ending race for efficiency and productivity, or in the case of the cryptocurrency community, for the perfect model for perfect consensus. But this clashes with the human search for a purpose and meaning, whose discoveries often invalidate applications of technology that otherwise seem perfect on paper. And we've seen that very often in the past when there was a technological revolution. You just can look back at the history. There were so many regulations in the automobile industry, and people would say that horse carriages will never go anywhere. The same with the computer revolution and the internet revolution. Telephone companies said, why would you even use a telephone line for anything else than to phone? And as you know now, the internet and the automobile industry and the computer industry has boomed. And I think we are at the beginning of such a technological revolution. And that's why at the moment the real obstacle is that blockchain is more of a buzzword in many companies. They're starting their blockchain departments and including blockchain in projects because it just sounds very interesting, even though many people still do not know what it is and what it means to their company in the future. So we are all aware of the resistance to innovation that exists within companies and other organizations, but we tend to describe it in clinical structural terms and so miss the bigger picture. We need to go deeper. We must address the underlying fears that guard against meaningful change. Unless we stop being avaricious, this hype of blockchain will only have random impact in random places. We will be back to shuffling, and this time not of paper but of exabytes and exabytes of data controlled and manipulated by a few. So the solution is a radical shift in ideology. So it's not all lost. There's a demand for change swelling in the general public, one to which all organizations, big and small, must respond. A zeitgeist against surveillance capitalism is going to demand that organizations relinquish centralized control over data and assets, re-empowering users. So this is one of the most important aspects, and why I really like the cryptocurrency space, why I'm very passionate about blockchain and so on, is I want to be able to control my assets, my financial assets. I don't want to be reliant on a bank. And yeah, the whole thing with fractional reserve banking and printing money is also a bit going on my nerves. So that's just to explain how I see it. And also the right of privacy is very important. We are the creators of data that is exploited and owned by corporate giants. And that's the thing with the whole financial institutions, how it works at the moment. They're prying on the misinformation that is spread with fiat currency and how banks work and how they generate money.